Hello my dear friends, welcome to the very next topic of this chapter, that is planning process. As we know that planning is a continuous process, which means it involves certain steps, and these steps has to be followed meticulously to reach up to the objectives which planning strives for. So let us discuss these major steps under planning process. So the very first step under planning process is to set up the organizational objective. Now the question comes, what is an objective? An objective can be that goal, that target which you set while planning. At the very beginning, you have to objectify that what is the final outcome, what is the end results you are looking for. Objectives is to be SMART. That is, objectives to be specific, measurable, attainable, relevant and time bound. We give this abbreviation SMART to objective because objectives are to be specific, it is to be specified in terms of number, it should be measurable, it must be expressed in a similar unit or a numerical value, it must be attainable, that it should not be such an unrealistic objective which is unattainable, which you just cannot imagine in reality. So it should be in a practical ground, it must be an attainable target. It must be a relevant target which has a connection with the scenario, with the time. Like in the era of computers, you cannot talk about typewriters. So that doesn't sound a relevant objective. And yes, we have already discussed that each and every objective must be a time-bound activity, because if you do not complete the target, if you don't give it a deadline, it is a futile activity. So objectives are, like for example, I have taken an example here that let us suppose a company is planning to achieve an objective, a target of 2,400 units of production in the next 6 months to come. So this is how you can say that the time is also given, the units are also given, the numbers are also given. It is a very, very specific, attainable unit, like objective. You can take this example like a mask producing company is taking a target of producing 2,400 masks in the next 6 months to come. Coming to the next, that is developing planning premises. That's a next step or step 2. So what do you mean by the term planning premises? The word premises here simply means the assumptions. And this is the plinth. I have already said it is the plinth for plan. It is a base for a plan. Each and every plan must have a base, a plinth, a past experiences on the basis of which you can predict, you can forecast, you can anticipate or estimate your future course of activity. So here I have taken an example. Let us suppose you have seen so far that digitalization drive in India, and due to this COVID situation, it is very, very clear that the future is all about technology. So you can see that so many e-commerce platform, even those activities which we could not think of on online basis, is even being served on online basis these days. Like even doctors are treating patients via online mode, via technology. Even yoga classes, dance classes are operating, painting classes are operating in operation using technology or virtual platform. So what it means? That the future belongs to digitalization, the future belongs to e-commerce, right? So this is what all about premises. So any business who starts for setting up an objective must keep second step first and then come to the first point. First of all, you have to think what was my previous experience, and accordingly I'll plan that where I wanted to go. Talking about the next step, that is identifying alternative course. I have just talked that alternatives are simply the ways out. What are the possible ways out to you? If you wanted to go for this production, If I take the example of this production, so a company can use a labor intensive technology or a capital intensive technology. So here I gave you two options, and just now we have said that you cannot take any decision in the absence of alternatives. So here you can see that there's one alternative way is given, and what is that way? That way is to simply to find out, to jot down what possible ways do I have to reach up to my target. Let us suppose we take an example that a company is striving to increase its profit by a certain percentage, say for example by 20%. So if a company is striving to get a increase in profit of 20% in a year, so the company must have three possible alternatives. The very first alternative is that the company may use a high-tech machine which will produce more. Then by using sales maximization, there will be a profit maximization. Next, the company can simply go for increasing the price of the product so that the difference between CP and SP increases and there is a significant increase in profit. The third very option is the company should go for low quality or cheaper quality material, or must find an alternative of waste material which is comparatively cheaper, so that again the range of profit, the difference in between selling price and cost price is differentiated and there is a profit to the company. So these are the three major alternatives. I am not saying that which is good. I am just jotting down the possible alternatives for the company. Coming to the next, that is evaluating or evaluation of each alternative course of action. Now if you can see, we have chalked down three possible outcome consequences here. So each of this has to be checked on the grounds of positive as well as negative aspect in relation to objective set. If you are thinking that using a high-tech machine is going to solve my purpose, I'm going to produce more, therefore I'm going to sell more, therefore there's going to be a sales maximization, and therefore it's going to be a profit maximization. But remember, with all these possible things, there is a negative aspect also. It will require a huge capital expenditure by installing a high-tech machine. So are you ready for this much of expenditure? Is your pocket allowing you? Then go for it. So what did we do? We have checked both possible as well as negative, like impossible aspect for the same, positive as well as negative aspect for the same. Similarly, increasing the selling price. Definitely it's a good option. If you increase the price, if it is in demand, you can go and increase the price, and definitely you can have a huge collection of profit. But also remember, do you have sufficient competitor, those who are offering kind of quality product below the price you are offering? So if it is yes, then definitely this option is not a better option, a good choice for you. Third, if your product is of super standard quality, you can reduce the quality. But again, you have to check the objective. Is the company has an objective of striving for excellence, providing the best quality product always. So definitely you cannot go for the third option. So as per your objective, under the framework of your objective, you have to evaluate each and every possible listed identified alternatives. Coming to the next, that is selecting an alternative. That is one of the most important point. Why? Because under this point, what is happening? It is a real point of decision making where you are putting what you are doing, where you are trying to select the best. You're trying to find out the best which is to be incorporated. This is the real point of decision where you are selecting that, okay, among these three, we're checking all the possible pros and cons. This is the best for me. So the company will go with the best of the plans, which is the most suitable in its situation. It is written here, any plan, an ideal plan is one which is most feasible, profitable, and with the least negative consequences. Only that plan has to be selected which is having most chances of fetching you profit, and least chances or least negative consequences. Coming to the next, that is implementation of plan. Implementation is that stage where you are putting plan into action. A already made plan comes into action. How does it happen? It is a point of organizing where we start arranging labor and material in relation to the given objective. Whatever objective we have decided, in relation to those objectives, we will start arranging labor, material, machine, and whatever requirements we need to start with the plan with. So this is called implementation stage. And if you remember, we say planning is primacy. So why it is primacy? Because at this step, at 6th step of planning, organizing starts. And from here, in between these two, rest all the functions of management are incorporated. At the 7th step, which is follow-up action, what happens? Company checks or starts chasing the plan. You have to follow your plan. You have to chase your plan. How will you chase your plan? Let's suppose the objective was to produce 2,400 units in 6 months. So what is a standard says? Out of objective, what is the standard production in a month? The standard production in a month should be 400 units. And if it is not happening, suppose if it is not happening, then what is to be done? The company has to go back to the objective and then evaluate and then check. Then what is the possible reason that we are not able to attain the standards, right? So which means this is the step where the next and the very conclusive function of management takes place, which is controlling. So I hope I have made an idea exclusively clear that there are 7 major steps and all these steps are interrelated with each other. That is setting up of an objective, developing premises, identifying the alternatives, evaluating each alternatives, selection of the best course of action, then implement a plan and then do a revision, which is a follow-up, which is a check back. Thank you.